That it's a new Australian musical, I suppose is not surprising given that's where we are, but it in itself has huge challenges. And I suppose the first thing that you want to do is find a way of telling a story, and from my point of view, from a visual point of view, that needs to be incorporated powerfully into the physical and the musical telling of the story.
Save our mates in jail, wipe away the stain. It's time we stood together as Congress sign your name. What's this chink doing here? Get back to your own kind, you mongrel.
This man has a name.
So does the devil, miss. But that's no reason to say it.
He's a human being!
That's enough, lads.
Eureka has an original score. So it's in the vein of the old-fashioned musical, in that every single song will be hitting the public for the first time, and that's so exciting. So this will be something we create from scratch in order to reflect the Australian spirit and the Australian temperament and what is uniquely our story. So I think it's going to be very important. I also think a lot of the themes in it are very, very relevant. Multinationalism, the notion of refugees, the notion that we're all refugees, the idea of fighting for what you believe in, the idea that governments are not necessarily just and those in power are not necessarily honest, and that we have a responsibility to stand up for what we believe in. These are very, very modern concepts, so I actually think it's going to feel quite contemporary as a piece.
Freedom is a must, and justice is a call. Honesty and liberty, equality for all.
I'm just a little shamrock, a three-leaf clover, if you please. Looking for a leprechaun.
My name's Ian Stenlake, and I'm playing Peter Lawler. Peter Lawler being an educated Irishman who was an engineer, studied at Dublin, the Trinity College, I think, in Dublin. And he came out and worked on the Geelong-Melbourne Railway before going off to the goldfields along with, thousands of other people to try his luck there.
Of the newly created Ballarat Reform League, and to demand the release of the... Sir, the unlawful arrests of Fletcher, McIntyre and Sean Flynn
Demand!
Sir, we are suffering the most appalling conditions due to corrupt administration.
When Maggie May Gordon came to me, she originally had researched various aspects of the history, and at that point I had said to her that I didn't want this to be an historical exercise because it was entertainment for the stage. We did a workshop at the Footbridge Theatre in the year 2000, November 2000, and invited the audience, about 200 odd people, to make comments and tell us how they saw the piece and what they had to say about the lyric and the book and the music, all those things. So we got some great reactions, and that spurred me on to take it further.
Stockade happened in 1854, so that's the exact time. But people would have worn clothes 20 years, from different times as well, because people used to wear hand-me-down clothes. So nothing is really as strict. You can't really nail it that it's just that particular time. It would have been mixture of different sort of shapes. And as well, at the time, I suppose there were lots of people who came from Europe digging and trying to find gold. So there are lots of people from Russia, Germany, from all around the world. So they all wear different type of costumes.
So you're going to make me look bustier? We'll give it a go.
If you want to, we can.
Yeah,
Shall we do that?
We can just push that in there and we'll get you up higher. Well, she is a whore, isn't she? Yeah.
From the Inca queen and brought them back in tall ships and laid them at my feet.
The wig lady's coming any minute. For this, do you know I'm schizophrenic in this show? No, I'm not. I play two roles. She's Mercedes Cortez, but underneath it all, she's Mary Gallagher.
We say a farewell to Mercedes Cortez and welcome to Mary Ann Gallagher from Galway.
I've seen all of you, Mercy!
I'm just a little shamrock, a three-leaf clover, if you please.
the research has gone beyond the actual hard facts of the period and the place, and whilst that is the roots of the matter, it's not where we stopped. We looked, quite ambitiously at Australian history, Australian imagery, Australian painters, Indigenous artists, ethnic arts. I suppose world history was also relevant because at the time, the 19th century was a century of revolution, of political, social, cultural revolution. And, we found people like Karl Marx and Mark Twain writing about the Eureka Stockade as being, indicative of a, as I say, a social, political, cultural revolution.
Charles! Charles! I want those men flogged.
Don't be ridiculous, dear. This is 1854. We're a civilized society.
Mother will never believe me when I tell her I've been manhandled in the Antipodes.
Fletcher, I told you not to touch her Antipodes!
My name is Christopher Tompkins, and I'm playing Raffaello Carboni, the Italian revolutionary. Yeah, he's an actual guy who existed. He was born in 1817. He studied to be a priest. He spoke Latin, French, German, Italian, Spanish, and English. Left the seminary, possibly in disgrace, nobody's quite sure. And he joined this movement called the Young Italians, which was a revolutionary movement, and that was in the late 1940s, and was involved in that. And there was the fall of the Roman Republic. He fled Italy and went to work in a bank of all places in Paris, and got jobs as an interpreter, and then he ended up in London, and then he got the gold bug, and this sort of great passionate drive to change your life and find gold. And so he out to Victoria, and he'd spent 2 years on the goldfields by the time the Eureka Stockade came around, and he'd spent some time also working as an interpreter as well as digging gold. He also worked as a shepherd, and he fascinatingly enough spent some time living with an Aboriginal tribe. So he's a really interesting guy who was obviously fascinated by the complexity and the diversity of the world around him.
The internet has made research just mind-blowingly simple, but at the same time, there's just so much to sift through. You look up Eureka Stockade, 6 million hits, so where do you start? But you narrow it down, and there's just a wealth of information out there. But that for me has been the major thing, just to read about Eureka, read about Peter Lawler, his life, his family life, and get an idea of the events that were taking place. And to read things actually written by Peter Lawler has been amazing. Very articulate person, uses big words.
So look up, my lads, with courage, as together we will stand. For your sons shall tell the story of how we fought and made this land.